Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 134 in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Alrighty. So as students are working with the files, we want to use the D2L system to communicate. Since everybody is remote, we do have assistance on campus and through Zoom. Most people are choosing to work through Zoom. And so what happens is, like, for example, we created this video giving some additional instructions on how to add dimensions. And so as we work with the course, we just want to remind you guys that you can always email us and include a file. And if we have the file, then we can troubleshoot it. And so, and there is a lot of trouble that we can make from CAD drawings, but it just takes time to start to work with the system as we get used to it. So last week we went through module 5. We've released module 6 here this week. If we look at the learning objectives for module 5, it was an analysis type of exercise where we're analyzing distances for a room. And so if we look at our CAD drawing, here's our conference room, and then we can analyze it. And so we can look at things like, is the door really 3 feet? And so we can go in and we can measure a distance using Object Snap or our endpoints, and we can see that it says 3 feet. We can measure things like how thick is the wall. Again, we can go and click, and we get that information. You can also use grips. And so if we click on Align Geometry and click on a grip, we can see that that is 16 feet, 10 inches. 16 feet. And then we can also calculate out room sizes. And so we can go to our utilities, and let's say we wanted to put hardwood floors in. We could go and measure the area. There it is. And again, you want to use OSNAPs, but what's nice about using CAD is that it will figure things out even if the room isn't square. So square rooms, we can usually calculate things out pretty good. But if we work with shapes like rounded and other complicated areas, the CAD system will figure that out for us. And so as we work with it, this room has 384 square feet and a perimeter of 80 feet. And then, for example, let's say I had a round room, and I'm just going to make a big circle. And so let's say that this is going to be a 20-foot diameter room. Well, what is the area if I wanted to put hardwood floor in this? Let's just say I offset the wall 5 inches like the other one. And if I wanted to put in a door, I could go to my tools, palettes, tool palettes, and I could use my tool palette for architecture, and I can grab a door. We can also draw them. And let's say that this would be my room that I would want to. And I think we'll leave the door out of it just for an example. But we can calculate out the area by saying area and then object. And then we select the object, and it will calculate that object out. And so we can see that that's a 314 square foot space with a circumference of 62 feet, 10 inches. And we figure it out in 5 minutes versus walking around the room with tape measures or trying to figure out and do the calculations. That's why we want to learn CAD. All right. Or at least that's our learning objectives and how they're applied using CAD. So module 5 was create the conference room and then place it on the title block in a viewport. And as we put them on the viewport, what we're doing is we're making sure that we're scaling the viewports. This one's 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. As a quick review, if I unlock the viewport and just kind of goof it up, okay, what the viewport does is it shows us what's in model space. And so when we work with the floor plan viewport, What we do is we bring the drawing in. You can double click the mouse and it will put it at a scale that the computer generates, which is fine until we want to measure it. And so it will be better if we set this up at a scale. And so we come in and we start with, let's say, 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. And that's a workable dimension, but it's too small. We want to use the amount of usable paper. And so what's nice about using a computer is that it will calculate it, and we don't have to get another piece of paper and draw things. In the past, you'd get an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, and then you would have to calculate out the scale for things and draw them with a pencil. It takes a lot of time. But in AutoCAD, you make the drawing full size, real world size. And so just like we talked about, if we measure this, it's a 12-foot table. And then when we put it on the floor plan, we just want it to be able to be measurable with an architectural scale on the printed paper. And so we dial in the viewport scale. I could set it up at 3/16, 1/4 of an inch, and that's reasonable. It fits within the paper. I could shuffle it around a little bit, add some 3D more elements, and then we lock it. And then we double click outside of the viewport and we update the title block. And so you put your name on it. Class, course, and then make sure that you put the date and the scale as we'll check it. And project would be the lab number. And so that's module 5. If we look at module 6 is this floor plan for a hotel suite. And we started this in module 4. We made the boundary walls. And what we're going to do is we're going to add more elements for the bathroom area. And this project will be used throughout the course. And so the project at the end of the course will look like this, where you have this awesome space with a area for sitting and for watching television and having a bite to eat. Here's your bathroom and small kitchen area. And then here is the living room. And then we'll do the elevations. And so as we work with our architectural title block, we can have multiple pages. And so this is showing what the room would look like from an elevation, meaning the heights. And so it's very common in architecture to have elevation drawings and floor plan drawings. And so that's where we're going. In chapter 6, we'll look at the learning objectives from our textbook. And so when we look at module 6, our learning objectives are to continue creating a real world application of AutoCAD. And we're going to create the plan view of the bathroom and the closet and the walls of the hotel suite. We'll also work with the doors, and then we'll use these commands to reinforce our previous commands like copy, rotate, mirror, etc. We look at the content area for module 6. We have a link to the chapter review. And so we create these. Chapter 6 hotel project tutorial number 2. We'll read through the textbook, show you how to create dimension styles, and you're welcome to rewind it, pause it, and we'll go through how to create the geometry. And I'm mapping it to the textbook. So I'm going step by step. And it's live TV very often. So if you do find something that you have a question on, or if there is an error, let us know and we'll be able to update that. And so we go through how to create that module 6 and we tie it to the chapter. And then we also have additional videos for chapter 6 hotel. I'm going to turn instruction techniques. A lot of offset and trim, and it's detail work. So it's not it's not easy. It takes time to get it completed and to work on that. All right, back to module 6. Let me turn off my video. There it goes. All right. So our assignment for this week is chapter 6. Our LOs are to create the hotel suite. And essentially we're detailing the walls and the doors. We're placing it on a B-size title block. Actually, we're just continuing from our last module 4 exercise where we started our hotel project. And then we had some bonus material. We can add some more bonus if you guys would like. Alrighty, back to the main splash page. Al, is there anything else that we need to talk about before I stop the recording and open things up for questions?
Not really offhand. We have a quiz coming up very shortly. That's going to be about in 2 weeks. Nothing major, maybe 10 questions.
Very good. And the quizzes would be in quizzes and exams. Is that right?
That is correct.
And if I view it as a student, we have these module quizzes, and the quizzes are from the end of the chapter. And so every time you finish a chapter, you should do the module quiz. Is that correct, Al?
That is correct, sir.
All righty. So with that, I will stop the recording and open things up for questions.